I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello.
Hello there.
Welcome back to AfterBuzz's After Show for Netflix's Cooked with Cannabis. I'm your host,
Yes.
Cody Epperson, and I'm joined with one of my favorite divas and cannabis aficionado, Ms. Kitty Kaboom.
Hello, people. I am so pumped. Cannot wait
She
to
is
talk about
pumped.
this. I am. I really, genuinely am. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good.
So we're talking about episodes 3 and 4. Episode 3 titled I Do. It's a wedding theme. Kitty, tell me your overall thoughts for this one.
I have so many thoughts. I'm going to try to just keep it to a minimum, which for me is quite the challenge.
Oh yeah.
I loved the contestants. I loved the bud. They're not bud tenders. What, best buds?
Best buds, yeah.
Yes, I loved Khalees's outfit. Okay, come through, Khalees. She's so gorgeous, though. Like, I'm completely obsessed with her. Anyway, she looked amazing. Everything about the show had me so hyped. I was super excited because some things we didn't talk about the last time was the fact that they infuse their own whatever they decide to use, whether it's a tincture,
they make
an
it
oil,
beforehand.
Right, like that did never occur. I thought that the show would create this stuff and then be like, this is what this is how you use it, and they're responsible for that too. So that blew me away. And then the strains, we didn't talk about that either. The fact that they highlight what the strain is and obviously what it does, and clearly there's a heavy lean towards sativa, because if there was indica, I think they literally would be
They'd
on
all
their
fall
asses.
asleep.
Right, like they'd all fall asleep. It'd be a wrap. Like it wouldn't even be enjoyable to watch because they'd just be nodding off. Yeah. So I loved it. Love.
Excellent. And then so we had my notes. So we had 3 new people. We had Stacy, Lauren, and Kareen in this first episode. And Kareen won, which I was super stoked on. How
Me
do you feel about that? Oh, good.
Yeah.
You're good. Okay, cool.
No, I thought Kareen should win. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes as well. It was kind of between Lauren and Kareen. I can't front. I am a Washington, D.C. native, so of course I was drawn to him. The fact that he was able to, and then he was a professional football player, and then just
right.
turned,
Bro, I was drawn to him too.
Oh, such a cutie pie, right? He was like so calm under pressure. He wasn't hard to look at. He was very like calm on the inside, able to pull off so much. So I was really intrigued by him. And I thought he made some really good choices. They looked delicious. So I was pulling for him, but at the same time, Kareen kind of did kill it. Like,
she was funny too.
Brought the fire, right? She was hilarious.
She was like, what's your favorite thing about your job? I was like, but I'm high all the time.
Yes, and that's the other thing about this. Fast forward to now and look at Kareen. I mean, family gets high. My wedding was the guests.
I was
going to
say her wedding.
Right? She was like, the guests were high. The wedding party was high. This is how we roll. And I was just like, because that's not what we assume would be, right? But then you have the opposite, or the polar opposite, in fact. Too Short, my man's in them, right? But Too Short is self-reported, he calls himself hood because he is hood. He's from the hood. He got to be big because he sold out of the back of his car. Like, he's gritty, grimy. And here he is, Mr. Articulate. I had no idea. Maybe I've never seen a Too Short interview, but he just was, because there again, with the stereotypes, you think rappers are going to mumble and if I'm from the hood, I can't really get it together and I don't got my words. That's not at all who this man is. Like, he was super articulate. He knew exactly what he wanted to say about it. What he was very good at being able to decipher, whether or not the weed was infused with this or whether or not it was something else that was used. I taste the weed. I think that it's this much as opposed to that much. There are so many variables that go into this thing that I had never, ever considered. You know what I mean? It just goes to show that we are literally elevating every day. The more science is involved, the more technology is involved to create something that we'd never known before. But then, a part of me, it breaks my heart a little bit because it goes back to the fact that now that we're learning, this whole industry, the upper crust, the elitists and all the rest of that, they have their foot in it now, right? So like, it's pretty packaging and it's, highbrow. We have a yoga studio out back if you want to like consume and then like go do a Pilates class or whatever. Everything is just now so like beautiful. This is a beautiful drug, and this is a plant, and let's just all get into it, and this is what it's supposed to be all about. But literally like less than 10 years ago, we were all stoners and we're not going to amount to anything and we're never going to get anywhere in life. Or like black kids, get off the freaking couch playing video games all freaking day, like go to school and get your, do the rat race. And look at this. Some of these people don't have no fucking degrees, let alone, maybe even finished high school, but they have made a living, a very lucrative living out of something that was looked upon as like literally a gateway drug and something that was going to ruin your life forever. And I just think it goes back to everything that we've always said in the past about who we believed people were based on the outside shit, not knowing anything about what their, or their makeup is overall. And I just love that this show is bringing that to everyone's attention, and making them think about it in a totally different way. Corrine, like I just never would have thought she smoked, let alone been like a legit pothead. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And she was, like they said, she was so funny. Even like they were like, "Oh, what are you gonna do with the $10,000?" She was like, "I'm gonna buy a hot tub."
Yep.
I'm gonna open a bakery. I'm gonna help I'm gonna do this. It was like a hair in my eye. And she's like, "I want a hot tub." I was like,
because her body hurts. Girl. Like she's standing all day. She's over this hot stove. You know what I mean? She's directing people. Fuck yeah, that's what she said, right? She's like, "My body is on fire when I get home. I need a hot tub to relax." So you go, girl. That's exactly what we love to hear.
It was so good.
Good.
And then, so the theme of the episode, sorry, there's like a hair.
Right. What is the hair?
And I can't get it. Oh my gosh, it's still honestly there. So moving on. So see, the theme of the episode was I Do. So it was like wedding themed. Yes. And one thing that I thought was really interesting with this one was they gave them a cap. They were like, you can only use 8 milligrams of THC total throughout your 3 courses. Right. And I guess I wanted to know how you felt about that.
I mean, I would
if you felt anything at all.
Right. I would have preferred more. I did have a feeling about that. I mean, I'm not against it, but obviously my consumption differs from others. And again, this strain is going to hit you differently than it hits me. This amount is going to, I mean, we just had that conversation with somebody else, we won't talk about who, that basically shared that their consumption is, how they react to that level of consumption. It clearly differs from my own and the next person next way. And I guess that's true about any intoxicant, anything that's going to alter your ability to just function or whatever people assume happens when you get messed up. But yeah, I did like the fact that they cut it off, so you had to be strategic about how you decided to use it. I just, I would have preferred them to be able to determine how much gets to be put in what, because the second show, that wasn't the case. So it was interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well, you kind of touched on something else that I was thinking about in that, because there was a cap on how much they could use, they had to be strategic about it. But which is very true, but I thought it was very interesting. All of a sudden we have 3 different chefs who are doing these strategic things. Mm-hmm. But how does that you know what I mean? Like how does that strategy affect the other person's strategy? So like we saw Corrine. She was like all in, like her first dish, and she's like, and now I'm gonna regulate throughout the rest. Right. However, there are 2 other chefs feeding these people with the cannabis infused food. So I was actually, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I'm all about them having a strategy and it makes sense. But all of a sudden I was like, but does it even matter? Because now there's other people. You're not working together on that level.
I'm glad that you pointed that out, because I believe that we said in the last show, I was saying how I've been to many of these dinners, and in each of them, the chefs chose to level the whole playing field. So there was like 3 milligrams here, then 3 milligrams in this course, and then 3 so there was an even amount of, you're just going to ride this wave through, where she chose to go heavy-handed in the starter, and then CBD it out throughout the rest. And that's what she said. Like, I want it to be a bit of a roller coaster up and down. I think that would like make me crazy. But then at the end of the show, I could see the logic in it though, right? Like hit them hard at the very beginning so that they literally have like a whole hour to let that ride out. And then the CBD is just like a cherry on top. It's not psychedelic. It's not anything that's going to make you higher, for lack of a better term. It's really just like a body sensation that makes you feel good and makes you have a little bit more clarity about things, So I like that approach. I had not considered that there could be another way, so it's always nice to be introduced to that. I mean, that is most definitely one of my favorite things, is to learn and I'm learning so much from the show. I'm sorry, I keep looking over here. I'm just trying to look at my notes.
Oh, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, what else did I
Right.
notice?
Exactly. It was just so cool. I really enjoyed the fact that they were able to bring so much information to something that I thought I knew so much about already, having worked in cannabis before and reported on it and the whole shebang. I mean, obviously you have to do research, but I think because it is ever evolving and we're learning so much every day about how this plant affects you and how the components can be broken down into different sections so that it can be more effective for more people that, desire this or don't desire that. Cody, did we lose you?
No, I'm here. Sorry. I was trying anyway, we're good.
Yeah. So, I really enjoyed the fact that they were able to bring so much information without any of it being preachy, obviously, or it's a plethora of knowledge that just makes you feel so well, for me, warm and gooey, at the thought that, because I like to cook too. So I'm just like, these are great meals. It was just really, this is a smart move. And the more I read about it and how it all came together, I mean, there's so many shows out right now, right? But I think this one is poignant in that it's not just like food, weed. Let's see how this works out. They are literally doing, you know what it reminds me of? Okay. I'm learning that food is very much like when you go to the mechanic or you go to the doctor. They say the exact same things, which is, we know everything that went into this car. We know what the parts are and how they work with each other, but we're just not sure where the problem lies. It's going to take some more investigation. We got to take some more shit out, put some more shit in, who knows? And then we'll see where this goes. Like, I'm always asking my mechanic, what do you mean you don't know what he's like, relax. Like, I got to investigate. And it's the same thing when you go to the doctor. You know what I mean? You have certain symptoms, so you make an assumption that this is going to be that based on this information. We know everything that's in the body, right? We know how the body works, but we don't. Like, there's so many things that it could be. And so I love that I had never considered how this is the same with food. You have a liquid, now I've made it into a solid. I had a solid, I made it into a liquid. And, this is a future. I know I'm in the other show, Futuristic, my bad, but I just love that it's so awesome. And then I love when they put the weed leaf, the literal leaf, into the food. I just think that is just the sexiest shit. Yes, so fresh. Because the ideas that come about with this stuff, you're just like, how did you, what? I guess that does work, huh?
It does. And that was another thing I wanted to ask you about was, so I know, I'm not huge on edibles, but I definitely will use them when I want to,
Yeah.
How do you feel about the weed, the actual taste of weed in it? Because sometimes you can get I have the little chocolate or little chocolate caramels, and those you can't even taste it. And 2 hours later, I'm like, oh, I'm chilling. But then there are others where you get a chocolate brick or gummies, and it's just this tastes like grass.
Yeah,
but it's still gonna get me high, and it's sour. I'm not a big fan of the weed taste. I know a lot of people aren't. How do you feel about it? Because some of our best buds were like, oh, I can finally taste it.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're a smoker, sometimes that's what you gravitate towards. So being able to taste it almost makes it real for you. You know what I mean? Because it's if you can't, it's almost like, I mean, oh God, I was about to make a comparison about this virus, but let's not go there. The point is something you can't see. I just meant, we know it's there, but people are just like, it's fine. I'll just touch everything because you can't see a big red virus, on that actual thing. So maybe don't touch it. So yeah, it's the same thing with the food. If you didn't know that the weed was in there, you're just, and then you're shoveling it, right? Because the food is so good. You just want to finish your meal, as opposed to, oh, I taste this. Maybe I should slow down and, dissect this. I mean, digest this a little bit slower. So I'm not opposed to tasting the weed. I think it just depends. And again, have to go back to technology. The weed, whatever the edibles these days are, come on, they are light years ahead of what they used to be back. And that has a lot to do with people home baking, right? You don't know, how much weed you put in the actual butter that you're cooking with, but you don't know how that's going to space itself out. Right, exactly. And that is a horror story. It could be,
right?
If you're going to make your own, you need to sit your ass at home, because you have no idea, this piece of the brownie has 30 milligrams, but this only got 5. There's no way
right?
to
It is
consistently.
a literal crapshoot.
It is a crapshoot.
Russian roulette with hot brownies.
No question. So I love the fact that we've come so far now that we make little 10 milligram. We know exactly how much is in each little square. We know exactly how much you're going to ingest in order to get where you need to be. You can play around with it so much more because it's like, okay, I'll take 10 now, see how that affects me, take 20 later, as opposed to I'll hit it 3 times, see what happens. Hit it 4 more times. Ain't nothing happening. I'm going to smoke the whole thing. You know, like you just aren't able to gauge it. And so, yes, I love that there is and I get the impression because this food is so elegant and so I keep saying highbrow, but I can't think of a better word, that you're not going to be like bombarded. The taste is not going to be like icky yicky, like, okay, I just ate, like you said, grass. It's more like, oh, this food is so good. And wait, is that weed? Did I tell you know? It's like a cute little aftertaste situation.
A little subtle, a little kiss,
little kiss, boo. Yes, I like that. That's exactly what it is. You shoveling the food because it's so damn good, and then you're like, "Did I just get kissed with a weed plant?" So good, so good.
Let's. I taught. Then the actual
winner.
The actual winner was Corinne. We did that,
right.
which was great.
Yeah.
What did you? I actually wanted to ask you about because specifically, I thought the dessert round and like how these foods. Like it's funny. I wanted to ask you, like, would you have any of these foods at your wedding? I don't know if you're married. I don't want to put your like life on blast, but
girl,
like some of this stuff, like especially like when it came to like the cakes, I was like, I don't. And then I also realized like I'm single, very single, and I was like, I don't know if this is telling about me. I have not thought at all about the future of my wedding. Like, I don't know
not
what
even
I
considered.
Got it. So I was like,
but you've been to weddings.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And Stacy, she made a chocolate buttermilk cake, and I was like, that is the most wedding thing that I've seen on this episode. Totally. But then Corinne's cake was like Greek yogurt and almond olive cake, and I was like, that sounds weird. And she was like CBD honey and THC honey on the side. I was like, that sounds like classy
amazing.
And elegant and delicious. And so I wanted to hear what you would thought about.
What was the third dessert? What was the third dessert?
Lauren did the limoncello ricotta cake, the little circles.
Yes, with the little circles. Okay, so first I'm so glad you brought this up because it is a food show, so maybe we should talk about food. I don't know.
I know. I'm trying to take better notes of the food
because the show itself to me is so good. It's so well put together.
Yeah, there's so many things to talk about.
Right, it's like you forget the food part. That's kind of the element that so I personally don't remember ever even hearing about what they served as starters and entrees, so I was a little put off by that. Like, why are we calling this I Do again? Like, I don't see any, like,
it happens really fast.
Yeah, it does. But I was just thinking like maybe they would do their take on like a traditional food that is served at a wedding. That's kind of what I was hoping. You know what I mean? How they go around, there's like chicken or fish, or steak, you know, you get your choices. And so because there's so many people, it's a limited menu because obviously it has to be prepared in bulk. So I was hoping that they would take one of those meals and like put their take on it and like infuse their own elements and maybe cultural backgrounds and whatever. And that didn't really happen for me. Like there was duck and it was crispy on top of, I just was like, okay, I don't, the people enjoyed them. So I'm sure they were delicious. I guess maybe, but I wasn't too impressed with the entree or the starters, how they did that. I would have liked it to be more with the theme. And then when it came to the desserts, oh my God, the circles thing was everything. And I like the other one that you said with like the honey on the side.
Yeah.
But that's what I was looking forward to, the dessert, to be quite honest, you know, because that kind of fed into the element of you got to have a wedding cake, obviously. So I'm glad that they didn't do anything ridiculous. Like, oh, I'm just going to serve like a cheesecake, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not wedding. You know what I mean? Then it would have been just ridiculous. Like, even if it was delicious, I don't think that person should have won because you're not even trying to fit into, you know, there's a reason that they chose a theme. But they did look absolutely delicious. And I love the care that they're taking about just making them beautiful. I mean, I know that's a chef's job, but on a show like this where you have such a limited time to be cognizant of all the details and stuff is super fresh. I really enjoy that part too.
Yeah, because even Lauren, he started during his entree round, he like had extra time and he started making his dessert before that round. And he was like, you got to multitask, yo. And I was like,
Exactly.
Very true.
Facts.
And facts, because they don't have a lot of time. And then actually
Yeah.
going into the next episode, which was futurist
Futurist.
food, episode 4,
Yes.
that was a trip.
Wasn't
And
it?
it was so interesting.
And
And
again, I love the best buds.
the best, that was something I want to talk to you about. Like, the best buds is they're making it better. Like, I know we're getting
Yes.
all these episodes in the same day, but like from the
Yeah.
first episodes, the best buds, they're now in
Totally.
these two. They're like actually talking to them about what they're tasting, and they're having, at least
Exactly.
in episode 4, I saw that we were getting more input from them about
The
judging.
conversations are obvious. They're not forced at all, even a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. They're very comfortable in their own skin. They're all dapping each other up and, oh, I'm high now, bro. It's like, I'm so
Yeah,
high, I
right?
just drooled on myself. Matter of fact, I'm so high. I was in the worst mood when I got here, and I can't even remember why I was mad. Like, I loved it. I was here for it. They were loving each other's company. It was very obvious that they had very clear and distinct opinions about stuff. The fact that they were walking around touching, but not even like a high touching, like, I don't know what's going on. More just like, oh, weed that fell in my pocket. How did that happen? Like, everything was hilarious. So I really enjoyed them. I did, I have to say. And the chefs were really funny and witty
Yeah.
and smart or whatever. Brooke scared me a little bit. Brooke looked like she kept dropping stuff, banging stuff, knocking
I
stuff over.
know. She
Her
was a little
hair just looked like
flustered.
she was so flustered. She literally looked like she got off a motorcycle and took off her helmet and was like, all right, let's cook. Like,
I feel like maybe she like was like into the theme of the show and maybe like got a little too high before starting, and that's why she was like, oh shit. And because I mean, she didn't do like a bad job, but she was a little like all over
it wasn't
the place.
a bad
All over
job,
the
but she was
road.
definitely right. She was just like, all right, which way am I going? She just kept knocking stuff over. It was kind of funny, but at the same time, it kind of made me feel bad for her. Like, girl, focus. You know what I mean? You want this 10 grand, don't you? You know, you got to make
Right.
it work. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, and
So
you know what? I'm sorry. I want to
No, it's all
ask you
good.
one question. So
What's
this is
that?
back to the first show, but did you find it interesting that Stacy, as one of the chefs, did not consume? And even when she said, like, I smoked weed in college. Oh my God, my mom's gonna see this. Like,
Oh yeah.
you literally, like, this is what you do for a living and you don't consume. I don't know, it
Did
just
she say
feels
she doesn't consume it
weird.
at all?
Yeah. She said, I
Oh
do not.
wow.
She's like back in college, and then she stopped herself and got all giggly and was just like, my mom's gonna see this. Oh my God, they're gonna kill me. Like, you literally sell this and make it. And it just seemed a bit like, I don't know, disjointed, you know? It's
I
almost like,
get that.
oh, I'm a mechanic, but I don't drive. That's interesting. How's that work?
I don't have a car.
Right, I don't have a car. I don't, that's not my
Interesting.
thing. Driving's not my thing, but I fix them. Like, okay, well, that's interesting. So I just wanted to know your take on it.
Well, I didn't realize that she said she doesn't. I thought she meant that she doesn't indulge like while she's cooking. But
Sounded to me like she just
no,
doesn't
but
get high.
that sounds more correct. Is that she just doesn't indulge at all, which is fine. It's still
Yeah.
like an excellent business to be a part of.
Definitely.
And a great industry, but teach their own. But I'm also like, I'm not industry and I do indulge, and I would be, if I were a chef, I'd be like, I gotta try this cake I just made. Like,
right. Like, how do you even enjoy giving it to others if you don't know what that enjoyment feels like for yourself? I don't know. I'm just that person. I can't coach a football team and then not be willing to do their sprints with them. Like, I can't be a fat ass telling you to run 12 more suicides while I waddle over to the side of the road. You know what I mean? I feel like it's not believable. Are you sure you're a good chef with this cannabis stuff? Because you don't even know what it tastes like or to be feeling. I don't know.
But it might be.
No shade
totally
to Stacy. I'm sure she's dope, but I don't know. Just me. Anyway, back to. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Back to futurist food.
Episode 4, futurist food. So we had.
Yes.
We talked about Brooke, and we also had Chris and Heather won.
Mm-hmm.
I was good with that. I liked it.
Yes.
At first, when she brought in that first meal, her appetizer, the quote unquote the beef, what is it? Laboratory grown beef tartare with mealworm crackers with crickets and worms in it. I was like,
grasshoppers.
I wasn't sure how to feel about that. Like, it totally works. I mean, it definitely fits the theme, and she kind of kept that throughout all her courses. That first one threw me. I was like,
But you know what that is? Go ahead.
I'm not big on the bugs. I'm not big on eating bugs. I mean, I'm not gonna say I would never do it. I've done the whole escargot thing, but like
it's scary, isn't it? It is scary. And that's what I think is so, again, dope about the show. It is the futurist, right? Was the theme. So when you're thinking of future, she believes that we're headed as a society in a place that we're more accepting of this, because everything sucks until it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
right? Like, oh my gosh, I have to wear red every day. Excuse me, how boring. I don't want to be red every day. And then when it becomes your norm, you're just like, oh, this is a cute dress, but it has to be in red, right? Okay, yeah. You know what I mean? Like that becomes your new normal, and it's okay. And if that is where we're headed, I'm not excited about it. I can't front, but that's because it's new to me. Who would think? There's still animals. If you think about it that way, we chop up any other animal and fry their asses up. Why wouldn't we fry up a bug? It is technically an animal, and it's so my assumption would be
and
a great protein. So I like that she did that, but I love the guests' responses, right? They were just like,
they didn't even realize it at first. There's bugs in this?
Right? Right. And they're just like, she's like, there's a whole spine in your food. He's like, right? But that's
I don't remember his name, but he was like, I need more crackers.
Right. That's the funny guy. That's the one that I said was in a bad mood. I think his name is Chris Yang.
Yeah.
No, that's
the contestant.
Clayton. I think his name's Clayton.
I started cracking up. It was, after they're talking about it was the bugs.
Gross, right? He's like, give me some more of that. So good. As did I. Yeah.
But with the futuristic thing, I thought how you're saying, like, with the bugs and like we're going towards her theory or theme of this dystopian future. I thought it was interesting. Brooke said it, that she feels that rabbits and quail are the future of meat, like the future, because
right?
I thought was an interesting thing too, because if we really dive into, I mean, what a 420 conversation, really dive into the future of like where we're going. But like, I mean, you know, like the way, and kind of what Heather was saying is like how food is going to be different, and it's evolving and changing because of the way society is evolving and changing. I just thought that was an interesting comment, because quail, I feel, and rabbit, I feel like are maybe considered like delicacies.
That's what I thought too. Maybe not.
So it's like,
so like, how would we
they'll become like the new norm? Yeah,
they're gonna just be selling duck and quail at your local Ralph's. I don't know about that. I don't want to be a naysayer, but I don't really see that happening. And maybe I just don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, there definitely are a lot of cultures that are into duck, and I mean, I've had duck before, but I've never actually been like, oh, I freaking love duck.
Right, like bring me more of that duck and quail. Exactly. It's not like my go-to at all, and I've had them both, and they're delicious. But it just doesn't. But there again, it's the new norm, right? Like, who knows what is coming down the pipe?
Where we're going
to where we're going to go with that? Yeah. You know what I do think is interesting too, and I wanted to make this point, is that I never thought about this. I read this article one time in a food magazine, and the lady was like, you know, there's going to always be the new hip in every industry. And you tend to forget that happens in food, because most people tend to think like fashion wise, you know what I mean? Like, you know, stiletto heels are hot now, but last season it was chunky heels. And then the season before it was flats, or whatever, you know, the new rage is. But it does apply to almost any industry, and food is not, you know, it's definitely included in that. Like one year it was all about sun-dried tomatoes. Like the world had never heard of sun-dried tomatoes before. And now every meal that came out, even if it was like a muffin, you're like, sun-dried tomato muffins that I put some honey in and made like a tangy whatever. Habanero, right? Habanero was the next thing. Trendy food, totally like street food that are now restaurants, but they serve it street style. You know,
like when McDonald's introduced kale into one of their burgers, I was like,
you were done. What's happening? Right, exactly. And I love that element of food, how you just don't picture certain things together. So one of the judges, who was an actual chef, remember, he was just like, I would have never thought to pair this with that. If you can wow a chef with what you've combined and have it be delicious, forget about, like, that's the goal, right? Isn't that the hashtag goals? You know, to be able to kill somebody and knock them off their seat when they do what you do and have been. Yeah. So I really love that too, that you're just like, let's put this, like, what did she say? Rum raisin? And remember the funny guy was just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
rum raisin? You trying to make out your will? Ain't that what old ladies eat? Old people eat? So good. But like instead of raisins, she used tomatoes. Hello, that's not even like a plum or that's not even in that family. She totally showed something different and they loved it. It was so good. So yeah, I love that because it gives you ideas for your own cooking too.
Oh yeah. And then how did you feel? I thought it was really cool when Chris he smoked that food in the jar. And so when they like
was epic.
Right? That was nuts. I was like, what on earth is going on?
Right? And
It
then
was
did
really
you see
cool.
the jars that he used too? Wasn't that perfect? The mason jars with the tops. When you go into certain dispensaries, depending on the level of hoity-toityness, you know, the ones I like, the hood joints have the weed in those jars, and then they just pull out nugs and then weigh them, you know what I mean? And then give you whatever in those little click jars. But in other you know, places that's already prepackaged. They don't have to do any of the measuring and all that stuff. But I love that he put them in that jar. So it was like he just encompassed it
like
all the
right
way
on
around.
brand.
Right? It was so on the nose in a good way. It was total spot on. And just like digging into a jar that's filled with smoke. Oh, come on. He killed it. It was so cool. I was really impressed. Yeah.
Do you feel like they all did a good job of like keeping in theme with this like future food? Because it was funny, even at the beginning, our main host, that she was like, Khalees, she was like, our Leather was like, oh, like they don't know, I don't think they know what to expect. She's like, I don't really know what to expect either, to be honest.
Exactly.
And so, like,
right.
I was so interested. Do you feel like they did a good job of showing us, yo, this is the potential future of food?
Hands down, because they didn't just think like this is the future of food. They thought, I want to make it look futuristic. I want to utilize things that would not be considered futuristic and make them somehow into a future. The fact that she, homegirl used, I want to say the Matrix, but it wasn't the Matrix. That was Chris's thing. She had a movie.
Oh my gosh,
she had
a movie.
Use?
Oh my gosh, with the noodles.
Right?
It is
with the noodles, right? That's what made me remember.
Oh,
Anyway, I can't remember the movie. I'm so mad I didn't write it down. I'm sure the people watching are like, I wish we had a live feed so they could write duh. Sorry guys, but I will say this. She thought that thing all the way through. And then she said noodles was the theme based on the conversation that they were having. He was eating noodles. Blade Runner.
Yes, Blade Runner.
Right? So then she was eating the noodles, but they weren't noodles. They were just like shaved onions and
all her dishes were really interesting. And I think they were all vegan as well, right?
Wait, that wasn't, the noodles weren't sitting on some big slab of meat? No, babe, I don't think
maybe they were.
I think it was meat. I pretty much remember her doing meat. No, but maybe you're right.
The noodles were vegan scallops in oh, I can't read my own writing. And noodles.
Yeah.
But they had vegan scallops.
Scallops. The scallops? The scallops were vegan?
Mm-hmm.
I cannot. So it was a vegan meal.
I think so.
All the way through and through.
I'm not sure how, maybe not her dessert. I don't know if her take on the Mars, the candy bar was vegan, but
she won all day.
She did a good job.
The Pop Rocks? Oh my.
Yeah,
like being a creative, I don't know, Cody, I'm so hyped because I just love being able to see people in their element excel beyond anything that even they thought that they could pull off, you know? As creatives, you and I'm sure that you can appreciate seeing other artists, other people in their groove and like really blowing it out of the water. And not just because of, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years, I know the ins and outs, but more about like, I'm able to see 2 to 3 steps ahead about what this could be. So I'm about to bring that to the table. And some of y'all, it might go right over your head. Some of y'all, you will really get it. And Lord knows, I hate to use him as an example because he's a nut job, but he's a good nut job. He's getting better if you just take his meds. Kanye was the same guy that was on late night shows answering questions. Like, remember when they were like, so he was like, I'm going to get into fashion. You know, I'm going to like take the world by storm. I'm going to be this tour de force. And they were just like, okay, sure you are. So yeah, what's your first product? And he was like, you know, there's these leather joggers, you know, that people will wear that look like joggers, jogging pants, but they're made of leather. And I will never forget Jimmy Kimmel being like, "Oh, you're gonna make that? Doesn't sound very practical, bruh." And like, so everybody's laughing at him or whatever. Tell me that you do not see leather joggers everywhere. Like, you gotta love it. People that are able to see 2, 3 steps ahead. Nut jobs are not so relevant. We're probably all nut jobs to some degree. It's a
Yeah, right.
beautiful thing to see it. I can only imagine seeing that come to fruition for him. I mean, he probably was mad as shit because, he started it and everybody else was profiting from it, and that's not cool. You want your coin. But just to have people accept, just to be like finally able to convince Anna Wintour that your wife deserves to be on the cover of Vogue. That's a big deal. I know I'm straying off here, but I'm just trying to give
Oh no, but it's all relevant.
examples, yeah, that make it make sense. And I absolutely love someone like a Heather that says, okay, how can I take this up a notch? Pop rocks in the freaking food. You better go, girl. You better fucking. I just feel like she slayed from start to finish. She was so good.
Yeah, she
And
killed
what
it.
was
I
that
was really
like
happy she won.
jelly? It looked like congealed gelatin. That
Oh
Hunger
yeah, that
made.
was I think on
Brooke.
was that Brooke's thing?
That was Brooke. Yeah.
No one
Brooke's a
liked it.
mess. Brooke was a mess.
Like the
Poor
judges went over
baby.
to the best buds table and they're like,
Yeah.
so this plate is full. And like, this tastes like cough syrup. I was like, oh no, poor Brooke.
Poor Brooke, yes, because they did not appreciate anything that she made.
No.
And I felt bad. I did. Because she just looked like a freaking tornado running around the kitchen, like, oh, okay, I'm
She
on this
did look really
thing.
flustered. I really liked
Yeah.
her energy, like her, like, hey guys, like we all are chefs and we like pot. But then like,
Yes.
but then when it
That was
came to
pretty
like the
cool.
competition, she got a little, she
Just
got
a
a
little
little, she was
bit.
a tornado.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, she's the only one that when she finished, she was like, yeah, bitches, finished on time. I was like, okay, love that energy, girl. Keep that same energy,
Right?
baby.
Get it.
And get exact. Go off, sis. Go off. Do what you got to do. But yeah, so she was super, and it was fun to watch. And I love that she made the point, as I did earlier, that the stereotypes have just got to freaking stop. We got to stop making assumptions about who we think people are, myself included. I mean, we've just been hardwired like that our whole lives. I
Oh
literally,
yeah.
when I'm out, I just literally through my all day, I'm literally talking myself down. Like, I'll see somebody and be like, that's an interesting outfit. Like, Kitty, she didn't ask you, Kitty, what should I put on today? Mind your business. But the good news is, like, I've come from saying that out loud to someone to redirecting my brain in a more positive and non-judgmental way. So,
That's good. Self-growth.
baby steps, baby. There you go. Baby steps. But that is what I feel like that's what makes the world go round. Us being able to not make these immediate assumptions about shit that you just don't freaking know. You don't know. Like, let them tell you that, I'm an immigrant that overcame blah, 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 or that I'm a pot smoker my whole life. And some of us are still on that couch smoking where I was born and raised. And some of us are culinary chefs. I mean, you just can't
Oh yeah, she did point that out.
say, right, you can't do that to people. It's just so unfair, because then they have to, first they got to dig you out of this hole of your mindset that's already pre-wired to think that, and then becomes the appreciation or the acknowledgement of their accomplishments and who they've become. But if you go into it without the preface, without the preconceived, then you can appreciate it that much more, because it gives you twice as much time to be like, you're pretty badass.
Well, I do, and I agree, and I feel like maybe I don't think she was trying to say that other people aren't succeeding. I think she was trying to show that people who do enjoy smoking marijuana or eating it or however can be successful. And we are seeing it all over the place. There are a lot of people who are like, yeah, I wake up and I smoke a J and I run a business.
There you go. That's how I run my business. Not at all. Yeah, and I guess it goes back to the essential, right? Like, they get it, thank goodness. Because it is essential for some people to be able to get through for whatever reasons. Oh, and remember at the end, Heather was just like, I was total anti-intoxicants of any kind.
Yeah, I
like,
wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
I love that she brought that full circle.
It meant so much to her.
She's like, literally 20 years of depression, of body aches, of all this stuff.
Anxiety,
I've now discovered anxiety. It has been turned around completely. And I mean, that speaks volumes about cancer patients, chemotherapy, and how that can combat that, AIDS. I mean, just all kinds of horrible
Yeah.
ailments that we've incurred in diseases and viruses and so forth.
It
And now
helps with
we're
so many
seeing
things.
it is such a cure-all. It's not even funny. It is
It's
that is the best
yeah,
feeling in the world. If I have like a headache and I'm just really going through it, the first thing I think is, well, once I get myself together and my day is done and I've sent out all my emails, spoke to whoever I want, I'm going to get smacked because I'm going to feel so much better. Like genuinely so much better.
yeah,
Not even pressed to be like, oh, hi, dippy dippy. More just like I just want to be at peace. Like I want this headache to go away. And I'd rather smoke than do ibuprofen or like some
same.
dumb, you know what I mean, man-made
And
thing.
I know for me, like I don't smoke a lot. I have my waves. Like I used to,
Yeah, yeah.
I had my chunk of time where I was a little stoner,
Right.
and then nowadays, like I don't smoke a lot, but I'll smoke
Yeah.
decently often. And when I do, I literally have a snap or two, and that is enough to like buzz me off.
Right.
Um, but what it's like for me, it's like at the end of a long day, like if I was at work and like someone ticked me off or like
Yeah.
it was just stressful, I come home and I smoke, and all of a sudden my mindset changes, and I can be like, well, you know what? Maybe that person, maybe they just came from something that's why they acted that way, and I just happen to be the punching bag today. And
It's
it's like so
so
funny how it can change your
phenomenal,
mindset.
right? And I think that people that don't smoke and that do drink need to be aware of that very important component. Like if you have to make a comparison, Khalees makes the comparison of it being like like two glasses of wine. Right. So I
Hmm.
can see that. That's probably like a good, I guess, depending on how much you ingest with weed, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
that just speaks to the effects of it, like the physical, like what it. But think about it: two glasses of wine, you might look at everybody and go, "I feel great," and that's how you'll say it. John Sally was like, "I am high, 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 high." But he wasn't slurring. He wasn't unable to eat. He wasn't unable
Yeah.
to articulate his thoughts. It's just a totally different mindset that comes along with that. And I don't think that people think that like somehow this whole getting stuck in stoner has been embedded in people's minds so they don't understand that being um what do you call it, productive,
Yeah.
is not a thing. And so yeah, I think like I said, two glasses of wine, that sounds about right. But that's like a sloppy, like, I'm drunk, no, I sound like such an advocate. I'm sorry. I just, because I just know the difference, and I just know that being chill is just such a bad, like you said, your mind literally train, your whole, you think about your day. Well, what could I have done differently? Well, tomorrow I'm going to try that.
Hmm.
When you're drunk, you don't be observing your thoughts and introspective, and you're just like, woo, my shirt needs to come off because I'm hot. You know what I mean? As opposed to weed, where you're just like, this is a cotton blend. This feels great. Like, the difference between the two is like night and day. And I'm sorry, I am here for the introspection. I want to rub on my cotton shirt. I don't want to rip it off in freaking public and dance on speakers talking about, look at me, I'm drunk. Yes, you are, ma'am. Yes, you are. Can you get off the speaker now and have a seat? You're embarrassing yourself. Whereas if I'm high, I'm just like, this music is nice. Like it's just such a different. Yeah, I'm loving this whole sitch. Clearly, I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. And like not to, and again, you kind of touch on like the hippy dippy aspect of it. It's really like it gets, this is gonna be hippy dippy. It's like almost like it really is like a magical plant.
It is
It
though.
comes from the earth, and it's like we have like things, there's like aloe vera. You just crack open a leaf and put it on your cut, and it not like magical, but it
It-
is a healing properties.
It's a
And
healing property.
this is just another thing that came from our natural, beautiful planet we live on,
That's
and
right. It's
it does
awesome.
wonders for so many
It does, and
people.
hemp clothing, hemp hats, hemp freaking, you can make anything, tires. Like that's,
Yeah,
come on, what
it's
is more
crazy.
sustainable than this plant that literally ingested makes you feel a good way, making things like, come, it just doesn't get better than that. It is just so, full circle. I don't know what else is there out there that can create that same, because when you refer to it as plant, of course naysayers are just like, cocaine's a plant too, but you don't see me going around sniffing coke. I'm like, well, yeah, but there's little difference there, but we won't get into the science of that right now. And
Yeah.
that's my point. Like the fact that science plays so much into this for people that are very right wingers. I don't mean to make it a political thing, but you know what I mean. People that
Just
are
more
of a different
conservative
mindset,
about the
more
topic.
conservative. Thank you. Yeah, more conservative people obviously make assumptions about things that they haven't. And people in general do that, right? But when it comes to more conservative mind thinking or mindset, it's about thinking that somehow this is going to take you out of a stratosphere, or that it's because you call it a plant, like we're disguising it as calling it a plant because it grows out of the ground, but it's still super harmful. Um, there's so much to be said for its goodness. I don't see how they can see it that way. I just don't get it. Like it's scientifically proven. It's more than just like a million trillion people saying, "Oh, I love this shit." It's more than that. It's more. It's like, but there again, they say that there's no global warming. So, with that being said, I guess that makes sense.
Right. And it does have a lot of good, and I'm loving seeing it in this show. Like, they're putting it in a good light. You don't have to, like, just because you eat something with cannabis in it doesn't mean you're just going to be wackadoodle out of your mind.
Right.
K-hole on the couch. So
At all.
it's great. I'm excited to see more episodes. We have 2 more to watch, and I'm really excited about it.
Me too.
So let's get on it and do it. But before we go, Kitty, please tell our loving viewers where to find you.
Oh, I didn't get to the news segment. I'll save it for the next time. But my name is no, babe, you are fine. I enjoyed the hell.
We're both just so into the chat.
Right? It's so good. But it's good because then we'll have Jeff too, so we can share then. And then we can talk about it. It hits different. Kitty Kaboom, KITTIEKABOOM on Instagram, and Kitty Meow on Twitter. So check me out.
Awesome. And you can find me on Instagram at CodyEpp, CODYYEPP. Thanks, guys.
Perfect.
And we will see you in a little bit to talk about episodes 5 and 6.
We'll be back.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.